Whatever. If you're happy with that stop, you can do rollbacks over there straight away. If you want to, you can do another one. A couple times.
Okay, we'll watch Stefanie Freundlich. There's the first stop. It's actually not too bad. You're getting him under him. I think you could actually hold him into it a little better once he's into it. I think you could hold his back in under and make it one like sliding stop rather than kind of letting go of him where he can bounce back forward. See if you'd hold him in so he can't come back down on the front. Still wasn't too bad. He doesn't move around too much. I think a more distinctive stop signal with the hands and the legs would help that out. This one I saw a good distinct signal with your legs, and he did get right under himself. I don't know if he wanted to turn or you did, but he actually stops fairly well. And then you were working on turning, so I don't know if he was completely stopped or not, but it actually not too bad that time. So you had your body off to the right. I don't know if you were wanting him to go ahead and roll back into it or what. What I don't like is pulling on the right rein to make him turn, if that's what you were trying to do there. We'll see that later, I think. Okay, this is the stop again. He was in it, and then he bounced back to his front end. You would have wanted to hold him into it just a little more so his weight doesn't kind of throw his own weight and your weight to the front. You kind of sit him into it and just kind of relax back down flat. As soon as he does get stopped, as much as you want, you want to completely slack those reins, and before you give the first signal, you want them to be slack, so when you give a signal, he knows it. This one, I think he starts off he's on the left lead, and we're turning right, and he's a little unsure about where to put his feet, and so he's kind of hobbles and bounces around. I think he pulled on his nose to start this, which also we don't want. His head is turned off to the left, which is good, but right there, I think you're actually pulling it to the right. Anyhow, his feet were kind of awkward because of mainly is on the other lead to start. Okay, here he didn't get in a good stop, but the turning around is actually fairly decent. He turns right on his hind end, except he does get his head off to the right there, which makes him step around just at the end with his other leg instead of just turning right straight around. I think I got close up there to show that you are pulling on his rein to that inside, which is, just causes his back end to fall around. Now, here's the same one there, slow motion. If you're going to do that, you also want them good and stopped first also. Okay, that one he never really got stopped and just kind of threw his back end around again. I think a stronger signal when you're given the signal and less signal when you're not given the signal is still a good thing. See, I think they're still pulling there before you we're telling him to even stop. I think it's just kind of habit. But if you'll get to where it's absolutely slack until you give that signal and you give it all at once, it's a lot easier for him to pick up on it. Now on this one, I don't know if I talked to you, but you actually had his head held away from the turn, which is what I like. And when his head is turned to the left, he actually is able to, you actually hold the back end from sailing off to the left. That actually held his back end still, and he's not able to walk around with it. Right at the end, you pull on his nose a little. Well, I don't think you should pull on it at all, but you started out actually giving the good signal, and he came around pretty well. There, he's kind of hesitant to make the turn, but he holds his head away and actually doesn't go around with his back end. He's actually doing pretty well, even though he's hesitant to make the turn. Probably what would have been needed is right as you're starting that stop is a stronger turn signal with your leg. And then, I don't know if we can see, but pulling him back on his hind end right there, pulling him back and pushing over with the leg probably would have been the signal to give. Okay, there you had his head turned correctly. He didn't have a good stop. He's still bouncing around, and I think you end up. No, it's actually you were given good signals. He was a little hesitant to turn. I think it's because you didn't have a good distinctive or enough of a distinctive signal. And if he's not responding to you, whatever your signals are given, tapping that whip when he doesn't come around like he's supposed to will remind him to come back better next time. Here you're on the right lead and turn to the left, so he bounces around. He kind of went around with his hind end. Maybe it was because you're on the wrong lead when you started. I'm not sure. Here I think on all these last ones, you start pulling his head in to the turn, which is going to throw his back end out. And I think you start that here. I notice you turning your head and trying to turn with the, get him to turn by indicating with your body. But pulling that head right there before actually I don't want you pulling it at all, but when you're making that turn, pulling his head the way you're going to turn just throws the back end out and away. Here, same thing. You pull his head to the left, swings his back end over to the right. You get to see that again. There you pull the head, and here comes the back end around. Almost turning completely on his front end that time. Same one, a little slower. You want to give a good turn signal, but you don't want it to be by pulling his head toward that turn, because that gets his back end out of place. And on this one, pull on the left, sling around with the back, actually never even get him stopped. We get to see that again, but same thing. When you pull his head to the left, it's just it doesn't get him stopped, and it encourages that back end to sling around to the right. One last time. There you pull the head left, and so he jumps around, slings around. Actually doesn't even stop, kind of just runs around in a circle. Finally, when you get him stopped and he's straight, then he takes off again. And I think that's it. Thank you. Bye.